Do you have a Berkey water filter or have been looking to get a Berkey water filter or something like one, like this one here? You may have noticed that there are some knockoff version Berkey water filters. If you've wondered about them, wondered if they're any good, well, I bought some last year and I now have an opinion about them. Now, this is obviously a homemade version of a real Berkey water filter. This I made with parts that I bought from a restaurant supply store, and I bought the filter candles themselves off Amazon. And like I had mentioned, instead of buying the kind of rather expensive original Berkey filters, I went with some knockoff filters that look very close to the real Berkey filter. Bought them last year, bought them back in August, and a couple weeks ago I noticed that I had some kind of cloudy water down on the bottom chamber here. This is supposed to be the clean side, so I knew there was something wrong. And when I opened this up to take a look at it, I realized that one of the filter candles here had busted off of the bottom and separated. And so that meant that I was getting dirty water down into my lower chamber. Had to stop using the filter. So these filters cost me about $45 last year, and I got about 10 months of use out of them altogether. So not the best price, but not the worst price. Back at the time I purchased these, the original Berkey filters were about $135 at the best price that I could find them. That was not on Amazon. Amazon price was about $180. So these were significantly cheaper, but I guess they were cheaper as well, too, in both sense of the word. Now, as for performance, I've been real happy with these filters. Even though they were very inexpensive, they have worked really well. Doesn't seem to matter what water I would put in them. The water would always come out fresh tasting, fresh looking. They really cleaned up the water well, and I never had any issues with using them. And I had full confidence in them over the last 10 months that they did work. Now, I should point out that one of these still works. One of these did not break and is still okay. But obviously haven't been able to use my water filter system here because the one is busted. I have decided to go with a different type of filter. Even though I don't have any real issues with these filters, I think that there's probably just a luck of the draw. I've heard of this happening with even real Berkey filters, them separating from the base, and I always chalk that up to user error. I know if you tighten them down a little bit too tight, sometimes you can break them just by being a little bit too forceful with them. Now, I don't think that was the case here with me, but I do think that maybe them being in the back of the van here and bouncing around had something to do with the fact that one of them did break. I noticed this break after I went up a couple of forest service roads that were very bumpy, and the van did get tossed around a little bit. Maybe that was a coincidence, maybe not, but it makes me think that if these were sitting on a kitchen counter that didn't move around, they would probably be okay. But since I don't know what caused the failure, that made me just want to avoid buying the filters over again. And I went back to a filter that I have used in the past and that I have not had any trouble with. These are made in Great Britain by a company called Dalton, and the filter is a little bit different than the Berkey style filter. They are a ceramic filter on the outside, and they do have some activated carbon on the inside, so they do a really good job of getting the water clean, but they do work a little bit differently than the Berkey style filter. So these Dalton ceramic filters do have some advantages over the Berkey style filters. One is that they don't need any priming. The water does seep through these all on their own, whereas the Berkey style filters do need to be primed, and that's a process that you need to do when you first start using them. So that's a nice advantage with these. No priming is a nice little step to be able to skip. These also have some activated carbon down the inside, so they clean up the water and make the water taste just as good as a Berkey filter as far as I'm concerned. But the thing that I like best about these ceramic filters, at least these particular ones from Dalton, is that they have some silver that is embedded into the ceramic material itself, and that makes the ceramic material self-sterilizing, and that does kind of keep down on some of the sludge that you may have noticed in a Berkey style filter. If you are used to using a Berkey filter, they do tend to get a little bit of slime and sludge on the outside of them, and with these I've found in the past, these don't sludge up quite as much as the Berkey filter, and so it means that you can get by without cleaning them quite as often. Now these Dalton filters are a little bit more expensive. They're about $40 a piece, so about twice the price of the knockoff Berkey filters that I have been using over the last 10 months. If these knockoff Berkey filters lasted a little bit longer, if I got at least a year out of them, I would have been happy with them. But because they didn't last even quite a year, I decided just to go back to these filters that I knew worked really well. These are definitely less expensive than a regular Berkey filter, obviously. So you'd have to kind of work out if you are good with the price of these versus a Berkey filter, an original Berkey filter. I do think that the Berkey filters, at least the original Berkey filters, last longer than anything else. So it's kind of up to you to decide what is expensive in your opinion. I rather like these at $40 a piece. I think that these work really well. I got more than a couple of years of use out of the last pair that I had. So I like these, and to me these are the inexpensive option, even though they are $40 a piece. Now, in an effort to not waste the little bit of water that I have in the filter, I put some in the kettle, and I'm going to make some coffee. I kind of need to make some coffee because I have been working on a very big bag of coffee. This is a 2-pound bag of San Francisco Bay coffee, and it's quite tasty, but this big of a bag has been taking me quite a little bit of time to get through. So I need to whittle away at this coffee so that I finish it up before it goes stale. So don't want to waste water, don't want to waste coffee. I need to make a cup of coffee right now, and then I'll get this taken apart and get the new filters put in it. Okay, we've got coffee made, so we can now carry on. The great thing about these filters is most of them are interchangeable. So the holes should be the same diameter, no matter what brand that you choose. And if they're not, they should come with some washers, and so that will just make up the gap if the holes happen to be slightly different, but most of them are the same size. Well, I was telling you before that most of these are about the same size. These are not. These new filters actually have a larger diameter thread on them, so I'm going to have to get out my drill and just open up these holes here just a little bit. Slight inconvenience. Okay, we had quick work with the drill, and I've got the new filters back in place. The only thing I need to do now is give them a little bit of a rinse. These ceramic filters tend to be a little dusty. You can see I've got a little dust all over me. So we'll just rinse them off a little bit, and then I also like to just disinfect my equipment here, so the inside of both of the containers, and I do that with just some white vinegar, and then I'll give it one more rinse and should be ready to filter its first bit of water. So I've got my bungee cord system all set up here and got this locked into place so I don't have to worry about it rattling away as I drive. And now I can get some water in here, and this first little bit of water is not going to be usable. We'll dump this out and just make sure that we flush those filters out in case there's something in the processing of them that runs through. So swapping out these filters only took a few minutes. Even with the drilling, this took less time than it did to make my coffee, which I still have most of the cup. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy this. Hopefully you found this a little bit useful, and if you have, do like the other YouTubers tell me to do and say like and subscribe. But I would much rather say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.